Good morning. Welcome to the East Brandywine Township Board of Supervisors work session for Thursday, September 6, 2018. Just a reminder, a recording device will be used during this meeting. Public comment for non-agenda items. We're going to start out with the rules of conduct of public meeting established by Resolution 2001-08. The time allotted to each individual making a comment shall be 3 minutes unless otherwise set by the presiding officer. Additional public comment may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer at the conclusion of the meeting. Any public comment for non-agenda items? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Minutes of the previous meeting, Board of Supervisors, August 16, 2018.
Motion may be approved as submitted.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay. I'd like to add a couple comments, if I could. Okay. So I just mark that up and give that to Mary.
Well,
You already voted to approve.
yeah, we already voted to approve it, but
What, don't you think, I mean, I should be able to comment? I mean, there's most of the,
I mean, Kristen, I'll ask you. I don't know.
I guess you
We
could
can
rescind
rescind,
it
yeah.
and.
sorry, I should have spoke up.
Why don't you
Do you
hear
want
what
to
his
just,
concerns
do you want
are?
to,
and
I
then
was going to say,
see.
or do you want to rescind it and then just put it on to the next meeting?
That's fine, you can do that.
Is that okay, Mary? So we're going to rescind the meeting minutes for the previous meeting for August 16, 2018.
Make a motion to do that.
And I'll make a motion to rescind that, and then we'll do that again for the next evening Board of Supervisors meeting.
So, Jason, why don't you second his motion to rescind?
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I guess the best thing would be, Jason, just to talk to Mary about your concerns, and then she can revise it and maybe send, Mary, if you wouldn't mind, sending a marked up copy so they see what the changes are, and then it can go on the next agenda.
Okay,
Okay?
sure.
Okay, there is no old business, so we're going to move on to new business. And that's, we have a waiver to film the Bondsville Mill Park. Luke?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have a request that came into the Bondsville Mill Committee to film a movie in a portion of the Bondsville Mill Park. This is an unprecedented request, so we don't have a policy that we're following here. I've worked with both our risk management agent and with Kristen to make sure that that if we allow this in a way that protects the township. I'm going to take a step back even further from the technicality of getting permission to do this. I think that allowing recording at the Bondsville Mill is consistent with the committee and the township's desire to increase the visibility of the park, and so I think in the big picture, this is consistent with the vision for the park. As for the technicality, what would be in a future policy and what's before you today is that there is a release that is in your packet. Kristen, you back me up on this. You indicated that this requires board authorization to be binding.
Sure. Yes, it does. It's a contract.
So basically, this is a waiver of liability, and it also discusses the rights to the video that will be produced there. I mean, this is a production company producing a movie, so we won't have any rights to the movie that they produce on site.
Yeah, and a big part of it was making sure they had the appropriate insurance, which you did speak to your Francis Hall, and they've confirmed the insurance that they've provided, which does name East Brandywine Township as an additional insured, that's an appropriate amount and appropriate for the type of use that will be made of the mill.
So I guess what I'm asking the board for, I guess, is a motion to authorize staff to execute the release on behalf of the township.
Do we have a good idea of what part of the park or what buildings they want to use? Because certainly there's some parts of it that are, I think, would be less suitable for access or dangerous.
Correct. They are using, so the movie is set in a post-apocalyptic future, so they're looking for the most ruined structure. The structure that has not gotten the attention of the volunteers the most also happens to be one of the most structurally intact portions already. It's the one on the far right, this building E. It's the red brick with the round silo. is where they want to film. I should also mention that I will be on site the entire time they're recording over there.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
No, I was just noticing that their policy effective is 9/4 and expiration is 9/14. So we would have to clearly make sure that this is done in 10 days.
Right. As a matter of fact, through email correspondence, one of the issues you raised is that you wanted to provide a clear time frame, and I feel like their insurance policy did so, and so I did not work that into the waiver. At this point, they're recording on one day, and that is this Saturday, the 8th.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a problem as long as they're aware that they got, a one and done because of the insurance policy.
I'll make a motion that we approve the release with Providence Artists Initiative for the use of the Bondsville Mill Park.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the 2019 minimum municipal obligations, MMO pension plan calculations. Scott?
Yes, the Conrad Siegel is our actuary, and each year they provide us with a worksheet or worksheets for the non-uniform and uniform pension plans to calculate the minimum municipal obligation for the pension plans, which is the third and fourth pages in your packet for this subject. And one of the requirements of Act 205, which is the state's pension act, is to present the estimates of the minimum municipal obligations by October 1st. You'll see that the non-uniform employees pension plan is $74,425. The police pension plan is $212,638, and that's anticipating member contributions for the police pension plan. Of course, this does not include the state aid that we'll get. We estimate that for budgetary purposes. These figures will both be in the budget, and then they'll be offset by what we anticipate the state aid will be. So I just, doesn't need a motion. It simply needs the fact that it was brought to the supervisor's attention, and it'll be in the minutes.
Scott, I had a question about the August 1st letter, the bold language in what's indicated as paragraph 1. Do we have a drop option?
Now,
So that language is,
their letter is boilerplate. It goes out to all that use Conrad Siegel for their actuary work. And that's something that if we do have personnel, police personnel who are in the drop program, then their information is not to be part of the MMO calculation.
no, I just wanted to make it clear, because if you just read the letter and read that language, it suggests that we have a drop program, and it could be confusing to employees who might take a look at it.
Any other questions?
I have no other questions.
Okay, 2018 road project change of scope.
We've received notice from RoadCon, who is our contractor for the road paving this year, that they anticipate problems on Hopewell Road due to the pole replacement and the number of the utilities that will be working out there once the poles are replaced to move their lines over to new poles, removing the old poles. And one of my concerns also is that the utility trucks have a tendency to drive on the edges of the roads or off the edges of the roads, and I think this may, would damage the new paving. So their recommendation was to either provide a time period during October, which means we would have to notify all the utilities to stay off the road for at least 1 week so that they could do their work, or substitute that work for Hopewell Road for other roads. And so I'm recommending to the board to substitute Jeffries Road, Great Oak Drive, and Silver Fox Lane. Silver Fox Lane is a short cul-de-sac off of Great Oak, in lieu of the Hopewell Road project. It's a little less total square feet, but I believe that RoadCon will probably accept that. But I just wanted to pass that to the supervisors.
When you say accept that, you mean that there would be an adjustment in the contract price?
Yeah, they get paid on total tons of material, so I guess in some respects, they don't really care where they put it down, you know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
But they're putting down less material if there's less length, I'm assuming.
should be a little less material,
But,
yeah.
but it's also stop and go versus a straightaway.
It is, but all the Jeffries Road, we are doing Dilworth Road, so Jeffries Road is connected to that, so there wouldn't be they wouldn't have to move their equipment from
Right.
point A to point B. And then I'm sure they could just drive up Corner Catch Road to
Right.
Great Oak, so I'm
And he-
hoping it would see.
Jeffries, Great Oak, and Silver Fox, were they the next roads up on our planned? for
Yes.
Repaving?
Yes. And we'd just defer Hopewell until next year.
And Great Oak is a horseshoe.
Yes.
So they could use half to get out anyway.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I don't have a problem.
Nor do I.
Do you need a vote
Is
on
there a
it?
contract that, you entered a contract for that, so there really should be a motion to amend the contract to reflect that these will be the 3 roads they'll do? And that was what was in the bid specifications that were
was- it
awarded?
was in
So
the
it's
bid
probably appropriate to have a motion to approve this change in the approved bid.
So moved.
And I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Luke, Republic Services Contract Action.
Right. So in your packet is a letter that I'm proposing at fixing to the next invoice that we pay for our trash collection and transportation to the materials recovery facility or the landfill. We have a contract with Republic Services. The contract specifies that for missed stops, we can charge up to $25 per day per stop that is missed on their route. The way this typically works is the trash day is Thursday. On Friday, we'll get a few concerns. People will call in and say, my trash was missed. We'll report that to the hauler, and the hauler will collect them within 24 hours. So the reason that I'm proposing that we withhold money from the next payment isn't because they missed stops. It's because they did not address the stops that they missed within 24 hours. In particular, there's a cul-de-sac of the Hideaway Farms neighborhood, and Emma Court. There's 7 houses that are completed on this cul-de-sac, and those 7 houses had their collection, which was bulk and trash, missed last Thursday and was not picked up until 3 o'clock yesterday. I feel this is above and beyond the usual sort of miscommunication, equipment failure sort of issues that we have with Republic Services. So I'm proposing that we withhold 7 stops times $25 times 4 days from the next invoice we pay to Republic Services.
And it appears from your letter that you notified them on several occasions about this, and they just didn't respond in a timely fashion.
Well, I will say that the dispatchers responded promptly. It's just that it never was collected, which is the whole point of, I mean, I won't say that we have bad communication with Republic. It's just that they didn't deliver in this instance within 24 hours.
Do we need a motion to approve that?
I'm putting this as an FYI mostly because I feel like,
Well, the contract gives the manager the ability to make this change or exercise this remedy under the contract. So I think it's more, I agree with you, I don't think it, other than just to say that you concur with his
Yep.
actions under the contract.
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, and I would also make a note that we put it in the next contract, so we have it ahead of time, that verbiage.
right, the three of you are our elected officials and on the front line of receiving citizens' concerns. And so I want to make for the record that we're aware that the last collection cycle, the performance was unacceptable and that we're taking action.
I think it's also important that, and I don't know when your contract is up, but under the law, obviously you have to bid this service. It's not just the lowest bidder, it's the lowest responsible bidder. And so if you have a track record and this is in your file and these letters are sent exercising these remedies, it shows and will build a case that they are not, maybe not the most responsible bidder.
Okay, thank you. Subdivision and zoning applications, there are none this morning, so we're going to move on to ordinance resolution for consideration. Resolution 20 of 2018, update Raymond James non-uniform checking account signatories. And I think there's something in the packet that is already done for that.
There's a resolution which the board members, Mary, Luke, and myself will sign to update that. It was discovered that it hasn't been updated for several years. For paying actually an invoice to Conrad Sigel. So that's the reason for this resolution, is to update the authorized signers.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved. I move we adopt Resolution 20 of 2018.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're moving on to Resolution 21 of 2018 to 25 of 2018, an update to DNB, Downingtown National Bank's accounts to obtain interest on non-interest-bearing funds.
I had a meeting with, or I should say Mary and I had a meeting with Jonathan Morey from DNB First about service charges on the accounts. I wanted an explanation of those. And my comment was that we maintain significant balances in several accounts, and what could the bank do to get rid of those service charges? So rather than get rid of the service charges, they proposed creating, and there's a flow chart there that shows basically creating transactional checking accounts for these non-interest-bearing accounts. The accounts would have a $1 balance. You'd have what they call a promontory link account, which would be still with DNB, and it links to other accounts with other banks. And the reason for this is there's something called Regulation D in banking, which was in banking when I was in banking 25 years ago, but it did not allow a transactional checking account, for example, to bear interest. So what they're doing is creating these, what we call, or what I called back in the day, sweep accounts. So money would be swept into the DNB First account to take care of the checks that are written from that account, and then any deposits in the account will be swept out through this promontory link account to one of the, I think there's 7 banks involved in this, and that's how we get interest on what essentially are now non-interest-bearing accounts, which will more than offset the, the fees that we have. There's a $15 fee for account maintenance, and then we have the check scanner, which is $40 a month. And we're going from, let's see, interest rate of somewhere between 0.4 and 0.5% to between 2.5% and 3% percent currently, which is more than, well, it's almost 3 times the interest rate we're currently getting on money market accounts that we have. So I just wanted to offer that explanation. There's, once we set these accounts up, there's going to be a little bit of a change in how Mary will reconcile the accounts. Won't know exactly what that is until we get the first statements. And Jonathan already said that either he or Dick Swear from the Little Washington office would be happy to sit down with us to explain that if we're having trouble. But he said it's really not that much different than reconciling the accounts now. But that's the reason for these resolutions, is we're making changes to the account. Plus, there's also the setup with the other banks, which this promontory link account takes care of.
I don't have any problem with it. How about you guys?
No, I think it's fine. I attended a presentation by DMB on this, and just by way of further explanation, the reason that their chart shows 3 money market accounts is what they do is they actually send it out to other banks so that it's always under the $250,000 FICA insurance. FDIC insurance limit. So that's why they're showing 3 there, and Scott indicated there's 7 participating banks, so that's how they get it insured as well.
We actually, all of our money is insured under Act 72 of, what is it, 1968, I believe, which required the, in our case, the municipality to make that request to the bank, and they basically insure through bonds and other notes to make sure that our accounts are covered by something other than the FDIC insurance, because that's only per account. But our accounts have been insured the entire time I've been here, even though we've been over that $250,000 limit for quite some time.
But this program was structured
Right.
not for non-municipalities as well, and that's why they did it that way. I'll make a motion, we adopt Resolution 21 of 2018.
And I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment on,
There's
if I
actually
may,
4,
yeah.
there's 4.
Yeah.
There's resolutions 21 through 25.
I'll make a motion, we adopt Resolutions 22 through 25 as well.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Public comment on agenda items. Seeing none, we're going to move on. Notices, the Board of Supervisors met in executive session on Thursday, August 16th, to discuss legal and personnel matters, and the Board of Supervisors will meet in executive session this morning to discuss legal and personnel matters. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second. All in favor? Aye.